Hey, what is up guys, Marcy here, back to do another video. Today I've got a game on Tournament LA. I'm going to be playing as the Traveler-59 and Senna will be playing as the Steel Talons. Now guys, I know you're thinking, Traveler-59 versus Steel Talons, how can this possibly be a good game? Well, things have changed guys, times have changed. We are playing on a community patch. This is 1.2 plus. For all of you who are unaware, I don't play on the vanilla version, and there's a bunch of balance changes, which implies that a lot of Traveler-59's OP tools were reduced in effectiveness over the years, though they are still pretty powerful nowadays, very effective faction. So we're going to see how this goes. I felt like I played pretty well in this game, as did Senna, and I think the game itself is fun to watch. So let's get straight to this one, shall we? Starting things off with a bang, 6 disintegrator squads. Now one notable difference between the descent rush in this version and vanilla is that the descents move 10% slower with that advanced articulator upgrade. This applies to all Traveler-59 infantry when they get that upgrade. They move a little bit slower. In fact, EA buffed the speed by 10% in 1.02, which is kind of silly. Ultimately, that made them it made the disintegrators have the ability to be used to counter raider buggies, which was dumb. Raider buggies could reverse, but they had very limited time to do so. Cultists were also overpowered as a result of them moving very quickly, especially versus units such as APCs. They're a little bit harder to micro now as a result, and it allows Scrin as well to catch up to them. With gunwalkers, speaking of gunwalkers, they have a little bit larger angle of attack. They can shoot a little bit in a wider arc, which is nice against cultists. You don't have to be directly facing them to shoot them. Gunwalker doesn't have to reorient all the time. But this descent rush here didn't accomplish very much. As you can see, I am going to be forced to pull back. I'm going to go for more disintegrators, since I know if I just eco up, Senna's going to have a massive eco advantage. And I know that Senna is very macro oriented as a player. If he's got an advantage, he's going to capitalize, and he's not going to do anything but spam harvesters. So I'm going to try and see if this descent follow-up can do even more damage. 3 harvesters, 1 refinery, not much more to say. A lot of action happening in this game so far, guys, from start to finish. I remember this game being pretty action-packed. Anyways, another lot of disintegrators, and this time I'm going to follow this up with an assimilator. This assimilator is to capture his Tiberium Spike. There is one problem on this map, and that is there is a fence near the enemy Tiberium Spike. I'm going to have to navigate my assimilator around that. It's going to be tricky to control, especially if I have these disintegrators alive. But what I intend to do here is lure away those riflemen with the disintegrators. I mean, 9 distance is a pretty good bait, you have to admit. He's not going to be focusing on the engineer when there's 9 distance poised to take out his harvesters. So yeah, the disintegrators, I'm just going to time this right. 3 buzzers right there. I'm going to see if I can get around that fence and take out his rifleman in that garrison. We can see he's guarding that Tiberium Spike. Whether by chance or not, I need to take it out because it is denying my assimilator from getting to that position. People coming in to scout, he will detect that I only have 3 harvesters. And sadly for me, that 3 buzzers did get destroyed. That garrison doing a lot of damage there, taking out 3 buzzers. Not a micro mistake from me, not really, because the game had a bit of a pathing dilemma. It didn't want to path the buzzers around the other side of the fence, which, you know, is normal in a game this old. You gotta account for the game not being perfect in that regard. In fact, no RTS gamers. There is, in fact, RTS games released in 2024 with worse pathfinding than Kane's Wrath. Kane's Wrath, by all accounts, has pretty good pathing, if you ask me. Plus, it has more advanced pathing mechanics compared to other games. It has reverse moving. It has units that shoot whilst moving, which is unheard of in games like StarCraft. And that complicates pathing a bit. Hammerhead going to be targeting my harvester. That has AP out. That's going to do a lot of damage. And he's going to be able to snare that harvester right there. Sadly for me, he does kill it. So that was a good pickup from him. And I don't know if I can get to this spike. But I'm going to use the buzzer swarm support power, and since there was already opening in that fence mid, I can just use it to send my engineer through to capture this tip spike. Now he can place a watchtower with the aid of the refinery's ground control there, but he doesn't have one queued. He's bringing in some blue Tiberium. We can see that blue smoke trail to indicate that he has a bunch of it on that, and we also saw him take it. Okay, there is enough there for me to warrant sending my harvesters. I'm going to do the same thing. I can probably get a full load myself. I'm going to fuse these buzzers to the gunwalkers just so I can de-garrison these buildings here. Those are pretty annoying, especially for Traveler-59, because they have a lot of infantry and these AP ammo units can do a lot to them. That 2-spike advantage of mine was short-lived. He does take that back very quickly. Upgrade on line plasma disc. I was thinking of transitioning into shock troopers, but upon seeing all these Wolverines, I've got different ideas. I think now my best option would be to tech up to tier 3, use it to use the temporal wormhole, which dramatically reduces the rate of fire of enemy units. But you see he's really spending a lot on anti-infantry, as he should, because it's Traveler-59. I have the advanced ticket upgrade. I'm going to make use of it still by trying to capture the EMP control center in the top left-hand corner of the map. Some watchtowers coming down, and he's using a trick to target the cultists. So he's clicking the watchtower as it's being deployed, just to make it shoot a little quicker than if it were to complete that animation and then shoot. It's a little bit of a trick, and yeah, he's doing a lot of damage here. That hammerhead's going to cut off by cultists, which is bad for me. I'm going to be forced to retreat. This attack did not go well for me. I'm going to be pulling back my army. But I do get down my technology assembler, and now I can start researching that shard launcher upgrade, which might be necessary if he does go for the Firehawk strategy, which is a common thing to do. I'm going to litter some plasma missile batteries around this portal just so he can't camp it with hammerheads so easily, which is what he'll be looking to do. I need to get a proj out. Me being on tier 3, me having that station chamber on the map means I can go for that. Now, there is a little bit of a small map issue that I do need to note down for the next patch on this map, and that is there is 2 expansion points stacked on top of each other in the bottom right hand corner. That expansion point I just took over. If he destroys that, there's one underneath it, so there's actually 2 there. You can see the textures flickering a bit there to indicate that there is actually another one underneath. So I will fix that. A bunch of other map related issues I have noted down as well. But I've been taking notes for the future patch, taking it slowly. There's no need to release a patch just yet. There are only a handful of issues that have been reported, but none are new. They're all issues that have existed for a long time. So I'm going to work on this Eradicator Hexapod, get that portal down for the assimilate. I'm going to do a trick whereby I damage my technology assembler a little bit, just to make it so the assimilator has a repair cursor on that structure, so I can preemptively send the assimilator into the building as Firehawks are bombing it. And when timed right, you can prevent your technology assembler from dying to Firehawks, which is the whole point of this. It's just a little bit of a technique to keep your tech alive versus Hawks, and if you can trade all of the Hawks and pull that off, it's extremely satisfying and game winning as well, so it's worth it. I recommend hotkeying that assimilator so you can get to it quickly, because as mentioned, timing is of the essence. Prodigy taking some damage there. There is a bunch of garrisons which I can use to defend versus, or to rather to keep my Prodigy alive versus hammerheads. But seeing how it is so low on health, I'm just going to put it inside of the Eradicator Hexbot. And I know what you guys are thinking, oh, at least got the Prodigy inside of the Hexbot. It's going to be like the old times where the Hexbot is going to hex lame and it's going to get value and infinite amounts of resources. That doesn't work that way anymore. There is a little bit of a delay before the Hexbot moves after using its self-teleport ability. So once you've got a Prodigy or Mastermind in your Hex and you teleport it on top of enemy units, it can't move straight away. It can't crush that unit straight away. It's going to have to wait. I don't believe it's a second, but it's about half a second now, which still gives the opponent enough time to move his units whilst that happens. In fact, the animation is enlarged as well on the hexapod, so you can see it as a player. It takes a little bit longer to complete. A lot of corruptors for me. I do intend to keep this hexapod alive, seeing how I'm very behind at this present moment. After losing that harvester to the hammerhead, after that descent rush not working, after that assimilator at his spike not capturing it. Well, I did capture it, but I had to use my buzzer support power. This Marv is taking a lot of damage, but since it has quad engineer inside, that's going to take a lot of damage from my Eradicator. So I'm going to teleport it on top of it to just get that damage from the Shock Trooper disc launcher hard points, which are very powerful, though they don't have as much range as the Plasma Zeus launcher of the Hex. It's an interesting name given to it by the developers, but I did check the wiki once, so that's what it's called, the Hexapod's main weapon. EMP available for me, but I'm not sure how useful that's going to be versus Steel Talons, who have the ability to get adaptive armor. So I've got this Hexapod, and I've got the Mastermind back there as well. My base is taking some damage, but I should be able to hold this off. I just need to build some defenses against AA turrets, and these cultists or gunwalkers need to deal with the riflemen before I send it in my cultists. The cultists are actually going to be useful against those behemoths, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to time the EMP with the assault of these tripods, so the tripods should start to move forward, since they will avoid taking damage from the behemoths. Unless the behemoths force fire the ground, which is what you can do against tripods. A lot of players believe, behemoths and juggernauts suck versus tripods. That's not the case entirely. If your micro is good, you can force fire the ground and anticipate where the tripods will move, and that can be lethal, especially considering that tripods don't have a lot of health to begin with. Those behemoths have pretty slow turret rotation rate, so I'm going to be able to flank around these and destroy both of them quite easily. Those hammerheads back there trying to avoid the damage. Cultists coming out. I'm in a little bit of a pickle here, but I do have my Eradicator Hexapod still alive from my expansion. I kept it there because I was afraid I'd get hit in my expansion, not logically, since that's where all the Tiberium is. That's where players usually strike. So I'm going to demonstrate what the new Hexapod teleport is like. So you can see it cannot teleport and kill like it used to. Now it can fire its weapons still, which is what it's doing, but at most I'm going to get a singular behemoth or two if I'm lucky before this Hexapod gets critically low on health. I'm going to teleport that back. So yeah, the Hexapod is getting some value, and these assimilators are being cut off here by Senna's hammerheads. Good control from him. He's going to be keeping those behemoths away from the Traveler player. And since those infantry can spawn Visceroids, there is a chance that we see one or two here spawn, as we saw just there. Visceroid is very effective versus enemy infantry. They deal pretty good splash damage. I'm now going back for Shock Troopers because I deemed with those hammerheads going down, he wouldn't bother to make more of them. And the Shocks have the ability also to kill hammerheads, albeit in low numbers. If the hammerheads are out in force, then forget it. You're not going to be doing very well with those. Hexapod teleports on top of these behemoths, and you see he's going to have the ability to move out of the way. This just gives the Steel Talons player the options and the time to take out that Hex, or to put it low enough on health so that it forces it back to base via a teleport. I'm now starting to take damage. These hammerheads, man, they are killing all my Shock Troopers. I had no AA defenses set up. My Storm Column is defending my Prodigy. I have that also on aggressive stance. For all of you who don't know, if you set your Prodigy to aggressive stance, it will automatically capture anything that is nearby to it, including enemy aircraft. It's the only unit that can mind control aircraft, and that Marv, man, I don't think I destroyed it since it's still alive. I was so confused. I had my Hexapod attacking his Marv, but it must have escaped. Just goes to show how much health it has with those engineers inside. And I'm probably not going to be able to kill it yet. Another support power comes down from me. I'm going to use the temporal wormhole this time The pressure is relentless, but I do manage to take out the Marv. Finally, Hexbot getting some repairs nearby that warp sphere. And I have also an EMP to use if I choose, but obviously against infantry that's no good. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to save this Hexbot now because it's taking rear damage from those behemoths back there. And the Hexapod goes down, so sadly Hexapod does get destroyed. I used all my support powers. I used the phase, I used the temporal, this prodigy. Sure, I could have maybe teleported it back, but it's hard to control all of this at the same time. And I am almost out of this game since I only have shock troopers left. My frontline tank unit in the form of the Hexbot has been destroyed, and I only have some shock troopers and a prodigy left over. A handful of hammerheads can end the charade for me. I'm gonna have to control this very well. I need to mind control those Wolverines. Best way to do that is by using the air mind control. Wolverines are going to be extra helpful to me as well for killing the infantry. I need to focus on the behemoths. Those behemoths will do nothing to my shocks and prodigy. What I really need to do is focus on the Wolverines, and then the shock troopers can take out the behemoths quite easily there. Heroic shock trooper for me. Those shock troopers paying off. Micro is starting to be a severe factor in this game. I have to be extremely cost effective since my eco had been ravaged. Area mind control gets used on those Wolverines. Another 4 will be going down. There's some husks back here as well for me to capture. If I can claim some behemoths, that'll be helpful. But I don't want to crush the husk. Those corruptors, if I walk through his husk, will crush it, which is undesirable. There's at least 2 to 3 behemoth husks there, so what I should do is teleport all 3 of those simulators with the Hex, with the prodigy if I can. I'm going to try and do that now. So I'm going to teleport in 2 with this. And then try and push him with these behemoths. I can use the shock trooper that's heroic inside of the behemoth, but quite frankly, it has a ton of health on its own. It's probably it's probably harder to kill outside of the behemoth than it is inside of it at this point. A lot of tip on this map. If he has harvesters, which we know he does, he's probably stopped his harvesters from harvesting. Then he can resume the harvesting and he'll get a lot of tip. So he's definitely not out of steam just yet. I lost one of my behemoths straight away. I'm going to get some healing up on that tribe. I'm going for Storm Riders now just to deal with these pesky hammerheads. Teleported one of those shock troopers forward. And I'm going to see if I can get a harvester kill. One harvester goes down straight away. The majority of that DPS is coming from the heroic shock trooper. But speaking of shock troopers, man, I'm getting chased down by these hammerheads, and I don't have an EMP to save them. I'm going to teleport the remaining shocks back. Sadly, though, I lost all of them. But I kept my heroic one alive. There's 2 out of 3 members left in that squad. The hammerheads are still quite a threat at this point for me. I should probably consider getting another Eradicator Hexbot out, but I don't have much resources. And he is probably spamming a ton of units at this point. He has allowed me to keep that EMPO alive, which is nice. So now I have 2 behemoths with shock troopers inside. That's going to allow me to have some form of anti-air against those hammerheads. The heroic one's going to be extra lethal. I'm either to get an EMP on those hammerheads if he sticks around there. That's probably what I should do, rather than reveal the Storm Riders. But the Storm Riders will also accomplish the same thing. So that's what I'm going to aim for at this point. 3 harvesters there, taking or trying to take some Tiberium. There's none left on my field. I'm going to have to make an expansion. Good thing about the Storm Riders is they're going to get some XP from those hammerhead kills. My tech is exposed here. Those Wolverines and Pitbulls have no answer. I am in his base, ravaging it with the tripod and 2 behemoths. I'm going to move these 2 behemoths forward so I can get them into shock trooper range. Mechapedes are out. That was the unit I deemed appropriate for killing Wolverines. which it certainly is. But I'm going to have to contend with two fronts at the same time. There is a tripod here, getting repairs from those corruptors. I'm getting flanked here by pitbulls. And I'm going to be forced to evacuate the shock troopers in here. I'm not sure if it's the heroic one, but nonetheless, I don't want that to fall if I can prevent it. Tech has gone down. The Storm Riders as well did get destroyed, and you can see that shock focusing on his hammerhead. That goes down. I should probably assign one of the corruptors healing my tripod to killing the infantry, which I'm doing. And I have everything I need at that location to take out his units. But what I don't have is a response to those Wolverines. So I need to build up something to counter them. Can't go for any more Storm Riders now since he has Pitbulls and Wolverines in my base. That MRT is going to keep this force alive too. Prodigy going to use the area mind control. I want to keep that alive. There's no way for me to rebuild that at this present time. I'm going to push his base now with these forces. I got two Corruptors, actually two Behemoths and a Tripod. He's going for infantry. I'm not sure if I have enough to contend with that. Then just in a blink of an eye, I lost my Prodigy. So that was a mistake possibly by me. Honestly, that happened so fast that it was difficult to prevent. So I lost my Prodigy sadly. He could have just gone in there with a hammerhead and taken it out as well. But I still have this force of units harassing him. But things are looking pretty dire for me. I did take out his main. Likewise, he took out my expansion. I'm not sure if I have the forces necessary just yet to take out his base there. There's a lot of infantry. I can use the Buzzer Swarm, but there's simply too much there for me to contend with. I'd have to send in all of my Gunwalkers to beat back this army, along with my Corruptors. So I should do that right now. Keep these Behemoths alive if I can, but they're going to get outrun by the enemy infantry. Now, I don't want to lose the shock in this Behemoth. I don't know if I evacuated it, but it could be the one without any units inside. I'm not. It's hard to see within my video editor. I do record the voiceovers inside of my video editor. Sometimes it's hard to see what I have in garrisonable units. Yeah, this infantry army is quite a problem for me, but not so much when you are screening. You have a bunch of support powers, one notably being the Buzzer Swarm, but those AP ammo riflemen are going to be very, very, very good against them. And I'm almost dead in this game. I just have a refinery and war factory left over. No more units to siege his base with. I lost my Behemoths. So we're back to just screen only units. Gonna garrison these structures there. Corruptors exceptional for taking out enemy units. Not only do you have a lot of options as screen to clear buildings, but all of your units deal 200% damage to neutral and civilian structures. I suppose due to the campaign missions, they made the civilian structures take extra damage from screen type units. Mines there will be quite annoying, hammerheads as well, but I do have AA. Gunwalkers really all I need at that location. And his tech is pretty exposed. I'm surprised at this point he didn't go for railguns. But at the same time, it is understandable versus shock troopers, versus mind control, that you don't go for rails, because you're just going to have those railguns turned against you. Man of tanks aren't really an option in this matchup, so Senna certainly made the right call there by not investing too heavily into mind controlling units. Now, one promising thing for me is that I have 3-in-1. I still have economy. His base got taken out, and I'm not gonna spare a moment in taking out this Tiberium Spike. I often make the mistake, and you guys rightfully point it out, that I don't kill the Tier Spikes when I have the opportunity to. Assimilate at that EMP. I'm gonna grab that over. I mean, you never know, it could turn out to be the game-winning move, the EMP in the future. Not much Tiberium left for him at his expansion, but at this point I am afraid of him out-positioning me and attacking my base, forcing a base trade situation, which I'm not sure I can win since I only have a singular tripod. Gunwalker there to do some recon. Lots of harvesters. He is bringing in the Tiberium from my expansion field. A lot of players probably would have given up if they lost their expansion, but Senna has expanded to my base. And at this point I'm thinking, if I can promote this tripod somehow, then maybe I have a shot. I need to keep it alive. I've got a lot of corruptors back there, but not a lot to contend with those hammerheads which he has on the map. He's probably spamming them. More Titans as well. And at this point, decision making is crucial. I can't see where his units are. I'm again afraid that he could be flanking me. He could be trying to take out my base whilst my army is out of position. So I'm pulling my units back to base thinking that's what's going to happen. But indeed it was not the case. He is just going to put some pressure onto my units there. He doesn't want to engage the tripod. He feels he doesn't have what it takes just yet. EMP for me is halfway done. And this tripod, I should start using it against those units of his. I have the Storm Riders so that those, if he doesn't have anything to respond to them right away at his base, will be doing massive damage to harvesters. A couple of them are already damaged and at half health. So I go take out one of them. But I turn my attention to the hammerheads since those are way more impactful at this stage of the game. And it's unlikely he has an airfield and a tier 2. So every one of those hammerheads I take out is crucial. Sadly though, I do lose 2 of my Storm Riders. I can build up more Gunwalkers. Occasionally I have the Ichor Seed to use, and that's really what's keeping me going. A lot of tib on this map. Great thing about Kane's Draft is, unlike StarCraft, areas of the map that had resources on it in the beginning can have it at the end of the game. As we're seeing here, Senna is essentially taking resources from what was my original base, which was at this point half an hour ago. But I do have a tripod. It is veteran. It's a long way off from promoting to that heroic rank that I'm hoping it is going for. I'm basically all out banking on this tripod and going to heroic. And what I should do here at this point is pack my drone ship up and take it towards his MCV. It is a mobile unit, much like his MCV. The advantages that would give me would be I can put a portal down to spam disintegrators, put a AA turret down to thin out those hammerheads, the leftover ones that he has. And now I'm going to use the EMP on these units here. Tripod back there. It is still alive. I'm keeping those corruptors back because I need them to be alive versus this army. I need to be healing up my tripod. He is doing what he can against this tripod. It is elite. So many of his forces going down. That's 4 corruptors healing it. And I need it desperately to go heroic. 3 more tripods left. Another one spawns from the war factory. And there we see the heroic tripod. Look at the damage. It is crazy. Another tripod, another Titan goes down. But not before he takes it out there with the last of his Titans. And that is all he has left over. I think, as I mentioned before, if I had moved my drone ship forward, I could have kept that alive, or at the very least could have killed the rest of his army with the synths and plasma missile batteries. But I did manage to regain my tripod, so the story has not concluded just yet. There is still a chance of me to come back in this game, but it's still looking pretty dire. I need disintegrators, I need gunwalkers. Those riflemen, those missile squads are so effective for him. Even though he has lost wave after wave of units, he's still getting the damage done and he's keeping me at bay. And I don't have much fuel left in the tank at this point. I'm building buzzer highs, but he can quickly focus those down. Titans can shoot over buildings. And the last of my units are coming in here to see what they can achieve, but with the Wolverine back there unopposed. I don't know if I have anything left over, and I'm pretty much dead now. I'm dead since losing that tripod. But like I mentioned, I felt I had a chance if I had moved my drone ship for the final fight. If I had had that there, I could have captured the husk back again and again with the simulators, could have put down AA defenses, could have put down some buzzer hives. It's just such an effective thing to do if you know it's going to be your last and final battle. But yeah, I got the heroic tripod, which in itself made this game special. And not only that, Traveler-59 lost. And I felt like both of us did well there. Obviously, mistakes came from both of us, but it was a close game nonetheless. That could have gone either way, especially at the end. Lots of micro and decision making from both of us in that match. Anyways, guys, hope you all enjoyed that game there. That was a very different type of game than what I usually post on my channel. Anyways, this is it from me. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. And before I go, as always, I'd like to thank my patrons for the tremendous support on my channel. Anyways, this is it from me, Master Leaf, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.